Hello everyone, welcome to Raj IAS study group. As you all know, we have taken this new initiative where we cover past week's current affairs on a daily basis, segregating one particular subject on a daily basis. Right, so today is Friday, I am Drishti, and today we will be covering the topics related to social issues and internal security. Right, so let's get started. Today we will be covering the topics that are related to Northeast. Northeast, maybe we will be covering particularly this beautiful state called Manipur. Right. So Manipur, you must be knowing, it is the state of Loktak Lake, and if you have been following football, then the great forward player Udanta Singh. Right. Now back to business. So first, Manipur was recently poll bound. Elections have happened in Manipur, so it was in news, it was a burning topic. So a couple of things have happened here. We are going to discuss those. Then there was this PM-DevINE scheme that was launched in union budget recently, so we are going to discuss that. And then this is the group of people, Meitei people that have been residing in Manipur, who are the local natives of Manipur. So we will be discussing about those as well, right? And since I do not belong to that region, I am sorry, I apologize in advance if I mispronounce anything. That is not my intention. Please forgive me. Right, so let's get started. Why this topic was in news? So our defense minister, because the elections were happening, he recently went to Manipur, and he, as usual, kadi ninda karte hue, he said to the insurgent groups that please come to table, let's negotiate. Whatever your problems are, we will be addressing those, and then we can reach a peaceful solution. Right. So now the most important part, why Northeast is important. Northeast is an integral part of India. Now these are the major points why Northeast is important, right? A, first reason is it shares international border with various countries. Here we share border with Arunachal Pradesh shares border with China. Down below down we share borders with Myanmar and West Bengal, right? So our Northeast is a landlocked region, and it is highly important because of this Chicken Neck Highway, this tiny patch of land also known as Siliguri Corridor. Why is this important? This tiny patch of land, it connects the whole of Northeast to our mainland India. If this is blocked somehow, we will lose all the connection to our northeastern member states, right? Third reason is this region is highly resource rich. It has a great tourism potential and hydroelectric power potential, right? Now fourth reason is this entire region forms an immense part of Indo-Burma biodiversity hotspot, right? So you must have heard about it, Indo-Burma diversity hotspot, in news and in environment. Why this has been in news? Because the flora and fauna here has been declining very rapidly, and it is a major concern for people all over the world and agencies all over the world, right? Also, our Northeast is a part of our Act East policy. Since this is how we get connected to countries of Southeast Asia and Asia, so this is our major part of India's Act East policy. Now let me show you which part of it forms a part of Indo-Burma diversity hotspot, right? This is India, sorry about that. So here is India, our northeast region. This is Myanmar, previously known as Burma, from where this name comes, Indo-Burma, right? This is Laos, Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam and China. This region, this whole region forms your Indo-Burma diversity hotspot. It is important. Please pay attention to it. It's very, very important from your mains as well as prelims point of view. Right, now let's see the geography and location of Manipur and how things get impacted here. So this is your pretty little state Manipur. It shares boundary with Myanmar. In north it has Nagaland. Nagaland is very, very important because it has continuous issues with Nagaland. Here is Mizoram. Mizoram is equally important, and Myanmar. Myanmar, why it is important is, recently in a past couple of years you must have heard about the news that has been going on. There has been a turmoil going on in Myanmar, particularly in its Rakhine state. Rakhine state, right? The issue is from here Rohingya community. There's a particular community called Rohingyas. They have been persecuted from Myanmar and they have been leaving and have been settling down in parts of Bangladesh, and since this area is being shared, so they have been coming to northeast states including Manipur, right? Your UN, United Nations Human Rights Commission, also called it a textbook example of ethnic cleansing. So it has been very, very important, and even in future this is going to cause a huge impact on India's population and its relations with neighboring countries as a whole, right? Now let's see a couple of things about history. British annexed Manipur initially in 1891, and then they defeated Burmese. Then what happened? Battle of Imphal took place, where Japan tried to invade India but it failed miserably, right? But what happened once India got independence in 1947, Manipur became an independent kingdom, right? Manipur became an independent kingdom, but the then ruler of Manipur, who Buddha Chandra, he signed a treaty with Government of India, right? So the state became a part of Indian Dominion at that point of time, and in 1972 it acquired present day status of full-fledged Indian state, right? So initially I want to give you a holistic view of Manipur as a whole, its geography, its history, couple of things about its location, and then we are going to discuss everything about what has been affecting Manipur, right? So now these are the major group of people, group of communities that has been residing in Manipur, right? So first one are Meiteis. They are very important. They have been in news for different reasons altogether as well. Please pay attention because we are going to discuss it till the last of our lecture, right? Meiteis, they are the most prominent chunk of community here. Then we have Nagas, who have 24% share in the demography. Then there are Kuki and Zo tribes. Kuki and Zo tribes comprise of a very major chunk. Major insurgency related incidents are related to them. And there are others like Pateis, Pangals. Pangals are a couple of Muslim religion practicing people who reside in Manipur, and there are issues related to them as well, right? So we will get ahead and discuss those as well. Now again, since Manipur is a very important state in culture, you must have seen this dance, Manipuri dance. It has a Vaishnavite link to it. This is important, so that's why I've put in a picture for you. Please remember all these points whenever you are covering a state, right? The major language that has which is spoken there is Meitei or Manipuri. Religion is the major religion is Hinduism, which is followed by Christianity, right? The hills are majorly populated by tribals which practice Christianity. Why tribals practicing Christianity? Because when the Britishers rule India, many Christian missionaries they came along and they converted the tribals into Christians. So still tribals they practice Christianity, and the valley, in the valley the non-tribals they majorly practice Hinduism, right? Even if you see demographically, geographically, the Meitei community they forms the major chunk of population it lives in Imphal Valley, right? And the surrounding hill areas are surrounded by Kuki and Naga people, correct? So let's move forward. Itna I hope sabko clear hai. If you have any doubts, please mention them in comments. I'll get back to you. Now let's discuss how the economy of the state functions, right? So primarily it is their economy is agricultural based, forestry, cottage industry, trade driven, and they have a huge potential for tourism and hydroelectric projects as well, right? The important part is it is your gateway to the east and connecting point for countries in Southeast Asia and East Asia, right? Now agriculture is an important important aspect. We'll discuss how. Now let's come to our major topic, what affects Manipur, right? I hope no one has any doubts by now. Let's start. Our first point, ethnic clashes. How ethnic clashes happen is, Manipur is a place where a couple of tribes, a couple of communities live. As we have discussed, there are Meiteis, there are Zo, Nagas, Pangals, etc., etc., right? So what happens is, all these communities are fighting for the territory, their culture, their demography, right? So because it is a territorial tussle, continuous ethnic clashes keep on happening, which causes a lot of turmoil and turbulence inside the state, right? Now your next point is AFSPA. AFSPA has been imposed in the state since 1980s. 1980s में Manipur was declared disturbed area, and Armed Forces Special Power Act has been imposed since then, which gives supreme authority to army, paramilitary forces, police forces to do a couple of things which we will discuss further, without any warrants and without any without being answerable to anyone else, right? So there is a lot of anger and discontent in people related to that. Supreme Court has intervened in it, but the situation still remains dire. Then Manipur also has inner line permit. Inner line permit was initially introduced by the Britishers. Why? It was to protect their own interest. How? They did not want their business aspects to go to other countries. But inner line permit continued post independence as well, because it was seen as a protective measure for the local people to prevent their culture, etc. Right? Now refugee issue. How refugee issue happened? As I told you earlier, the Rohingya issue. Already these tribes are fighting for the very little area that they have, right? There is a very little area which is already been under a turmoil because of the fights of these tribes. Now people from outside are coming, outside of entirely different country, different culture, language altogether, and they are causing disturbances. These people feel disturbed because they are coming to their state and taking their livelihood opportunities and putting more pressure on the state. So this has become a major issue in Manipur elections, right? Next threat is of insurgency and violence. Because all these people are fighting amongst each other, there have been a lot of incidents where attacks have been carried out on police personnel and even on civilians, and the number of casualties has been ginormous. So this thing has been a major concern for people as well as the civilians as well, right? So insurgency and violence is a major concern for the state right now. Another thing is unemployment. How unemployment? The data of Union Labour Ministry says the unemployment level in Manipur is currently 9.5%, which is a lot of data, and Manipur is second just to Nagaland when it comes to Northeast, and they have enormous unemployment. See, when the youth is unemployed, it is very easy to divert them, to brainwash them to the negative activities. So then they become a part of this insurgency and violence and notorious things. Hence, they cannot add on to the productive labor force of the country. So unemployment right now is a major issue. Also, your economic survey of 2020-21 says that the average income, average per capita income of Manipur state is way below than national average. So this speaks something about the situation of the people in the country right now, right? Now there have been happening extrajudicial executions, or you can say vigilantism, right? So what happens is, when the state is in such state, there is a lot of confusion and chaos happening. So people cannot really distinguish between what is law related crime and what is insurgency related crime. So when people feel they do not get justice, they take law in their own hands and they go vigilante. So there have been a lot of extrajudicial executions which have been disturbing the peace and security of the state. Next is your drug menace. Drug menace, what happens is, there is this particular area called Golden Triangle. Golden Triangle. Golden Triangle is your integral traditional part of Myanmar, Laos and Thailand, where drugs are cultivated, right? Drugs have been cultivated here and being transported to different part of the world through this trade route of India. Earlier, Manipur just used to be a trade route, but right now it has become a very big market for drug cartels. And what happens is, with drug cartels comes a huge number of other problems, including sex trafficking, human trafficking, right? And your illegal weapon trade. See, where a lot of black money is involved, a lot of other problems, hidden problems come along with the major problem, right? Government of India is working really hard to bring the youth of Northeast out of the drug problem. This has become a huge problem. In slides ahead, I'll show you the proper areas and map where this Golden Triangle is present. The major drugs that have been transported are opium, methamphetamine and heroin, right? Now there has been a rampant corruption. See, ethnic clashes ho rahe hain na agar, if this is happening, this is not the whole sole responsibility of one particular group. There are militant outfits, but they cannot carry this around if they do not have protection from people who are in administration or governance, right? So there has been rampant corruption. People who are in politics, people who are in services, they have been collaborating with these people, and their nexus have made the administrative machinery and elections a total farce, right? So this has been a huge failure. Manipur, at the time of COVID, there was a huge mismanagement, and people have seen a lot of death and destruction at that time. This has been a major problem, and people are still deprived of basic amenities, infrastructure, healthcare, etc., which are well deserved by them, right? Now our next topic is water scarcity. Manipur is a drought prone state, right? So a major chunk of Manipur mein na hills are there, then there are wetlands, and there are barren lands, and jo raha saha thoda bahut portion hai, there people practice jhum cultivation. Jhum cultivation means slash and burning. So what happens is the overall agricultural productivity of the state is very low, right? Ab water scarcity, what happens is agricultural productivity वैसे ही लो है, पानी भी कम होगा, तो people they basically are forced to move out of the state, right? So this has been a major concern, and government is doing a lot in this direction to address this. Now one major chunk of problem is tribal politics. Tribal politics, what it does is, tribal politics is related to ethnic clashes and this corruption thingy. When this happens, because of people who are power hungry, they want themselves to be in power, they use the people who are illiterate, who are unemployed to their benefits, and the continuous turmoil in the state continues, because if the stability is achieved, their power status will be reduced to nothing. So this is how the psyche of it works. There are many other issues related to Manipur from core internal security. There are districts, namely Ukhrul, Tamenglong, Senapati. We are going to discuss them as in future when we receive further news about it. But today I just want to cover the internal security aspects and how these are related to social issues, right? Now let's get to first topic, ethnic clashes, जहाँ से हमने start किया था. So Manipur and Nagaland, right? So what happens is, Manipur and Nagaland, there are ethnic tribal loyalties and rivalries which regularly flare, right? See, what happens is, when you have the domicile of a state, when you have a domicile of the state, you are sort of associated with the state, right? But in the case of Nagas, that is not so. Nagas, if they have domicile of Nagaland, still they are associated with other states as well, right? Domicile thing does not work when it comes to Nagas. They have been demanding a huge chunk of land, which also comprises of territories from Myanmar itself, called Greater Nagaland. Greater Nagaland, right? So they have been demanding this, and the insurgencies and the fights which Naga people have been fighting, they continuously get spilled over to the neighboring states, namely Manipur, right? There has been formation of this proper unit called National Socialist Council of Nagaland, that is Isak Muhiwa, and they have been fighting a lot with everyone so that this can be addressed. The issue of Greater Nagaland can be addressed. this Isaac Muhiwa organization, they signed a peace pact with Government of India in 1997, and still the talks have been going between them, but we are still yet to receive a solution to this. Right, now let's come to rise of insurgency. See, insurgency का reason क्या है? Insurgency का reason ये है कि people are not happy with something. इस केस में मणिपुर में rise of insurgency का cause क्या है? The insurgency they started in 1964. 1964, they started in 1964 when with the formation of United National Liberation Front. This is one of the core militant outfits still prevalent, and what their issue is, they allegedly feel that the inclusion of Manipur into India was forced one. They did not want to do it. In history, we already discussed in the beginning of the slide that the then ruler of Manipur state, Buddha Chandra, he signed an agreement with the government of India to come into Indian dominion, right? But these people, they still feel A, that the merger was a forced one, it was not a fair thing, and B, their second issue is the when in 1972 Manipur got the status of a full-fledged statehood. It was a very delayed process. Manipur should have gotten the full-fledged statehood status earlier, very earlier, but they delayed it due to n number of reasons. So they are unhappy with that, right? Okay, so मणिपुर में इंटरनल इंसर्जेंसी तो चल ही रही है. इंटरनली पीपल आर डिससैटिस्फाइड, they have been protesting through violent means, non-violent means, everything. But now this China factor has also come into play. Already we are fighting with China on the issue of LAC, line of actual control, हमारे अरुणाचल के border पे, right? Now what is happening is Myanmar में there has been a change of government, right? From democracy they have shifted to military rule, which is also known as जनता, right? Now ये आपका मणिपुर है, कहाँ की बाउंड्री पे है ये? This shares boundary with Myanmar. Now military government here would not hesitate to get help from China, right? Now in this whole process, what is happening is illegal weapons have been coming here to here from China to Myanmar and going to these states as well. Chinese illegal weapons have been supplied to these states as well, and people, tribal people who did not have modern weapons to fight these battles, now they have fully high-tech available weapons to counter Indian state. So this has become a huge issue. We are already fighting with China directly on Arunachal Pradesh's front. We don't want these states, Manipur, Mizoram states, to be included into line of actual control tussle, right? So we will have to be very careful about how these situations unfold, right? Our next major topic is Armed Forces Special Powers Act. Armed Forces Special Power Act, it gives absolute power to our paramilitary forces, our warranted officers, unwarranted officers, to carry out operations without any warrants. You can read everything here. I've shared this newspaper clipping. It was in Hindu a couple of years ago. So paramilitary people, they have absolute power to arrest anyone, to destroy any structure. But recently there have been a lot of complaints regarding this, that these people, the military people, they have been abusing their power, they have been humiliating and harassing the localites, they have been maimed, tortured and raped. The women of Manipur have been at the forefront of it, and there have been a lot of protests regarding this, right? So a couple of years ago in district Senapati, there was this counter-insurgency operation called Bluebird, right, where it was alleged that many men were maimed, tortured and raped, and women of Manipur have been in the forefront of repeal of AFSPA. There has been a lot of human rights violations. Supreme Court gave a critical, crucial judgment in 2016-2017. The CBI had to intervene. Supreme Court asked CBI to examine cases against police, paramilitary forces, etc. But the situation still remains dire. People have been still continuously protesting against all of these. Right. Now, the next topic is drug menace. I told you already about this golden triangle thing. There are two golden things. One is golden triangle, one is golden crescent. Here we are discussing golden triangle. Crescent के बारे में we'll discuss आगे के lectures में. Right. So, Myanmar, Thailand and Laos. This is the triangle which is formed. What are they transporting? They are transporting opium, methamphetamine and heroin, right? So, the drug menace has been continuing for a very long time, and this has become a bane for our country, right? So, this is the golden triangle, and government is trying a lot of effort has been put into this eradicating, eliminating this situation as a whole, right? Now, the data and facts that I told you, the unemployment level of Manipur right now is 9.5%, right? And their average economic income, per capita income, is well below the national average, which is a major concern for government of India and people of that state. Political instability. Political instability is a major issue. Why? Because Manipur has witnessed continuous problems when it comes to elections. See, MLAs there have been resigning, changing parties, protesting, etc., or getting disqualified, and which all of this has been leading to all of this. It's a domino effect. One problem leads to another. Cycle stand है, एक cycle गिरी सारी गिरती चली जाएंगी, ठीक है? So political instability is a major issue even for Election Commission of India, right? Water scarcity. See, only 10% of Manipur is valley, rest all of it is hills and barren lands and wetlands. There are a lot of wetlands. It is important from your environment point of view, okay? So please pay attention. And the hills are either not cultivated, or as I told you, jhum cultivation is being practiced there, so it's not very productive, and it brings into question their food security, right? Another problem is refugee issue, the Rohingyas we have discussed. अब Rohingya issue तो है, India की क्या problem है? Problem is India does not have a separate statute for refugees, right? When people from outside come and they intermix with you, they are living with you, what problem it creates? It creates identity crisis for you, right? Already you are fighting amongst yourselves, between yourselves. Now it creates identity crisis for you. Once these people, outsiders, people who have come because they were persecuted, अपना घर छोड़ के कोई नहीं आता, but because they were persecuted and they were forced to come into your country, slowly and gradually what they do is they acquire documents, illegal documents like PAN card and etc., Aadhaar card. So it becomes really difficult to identify them and deport them, right? So they sort of start residing permanently. Already you don't want other communities to live there, other citizens coming there becomes a huge issue, right? And they start spreading countrywide. Now what it does, it increases the financial responsibility on the state, because the state has to take care of everyone, irrespective of आपके घर में कोई आया तो you do have to take care of them, right? Ab, because these people were persecuted, they need to do something for their living. They will do whatever is given to them, and they will do it in wages less than the native people. So here it creates a sort of disparity, right? अगर local बंदा ये काम 10 rupees में कर रहा है, so these people will do it in 5. So what happens is the employment and livelihood of the local people, it comes into danger. Then there is this everlasting issue of terrorism. People who are persecuted, they are coming to our country, but cloaked amongst them come a couple of people who have the whole sole intention of terrorists, and they finally act as sleeper cells. So this is a huge issue that has to be addressed. Other factors we have already discussed. Inner line permit issue, Britishers brought it, but that is still there in Manipur because they want to protect their culture, their language, their brotherhood, their ethnicity, right? Rampant corruption, we have to tackle this. And COVID mismanagement. COVID mismanagement includes all sorts of healthcare, basic amenities and infrastructure that has to be there so that the people of the country and state could have a better quality of life and better standard of living. Achha, we have discussed this whole topic holistically. Iska point kya hai? The point is, it is going to help you give a better understanding of the topic. It is going to help you write better essays. It is going to help you in ethics paper, and GS mein to karega hi karega. So if you have a good understanding of how what is affecting what, you will have a very clear cut picture in your mind about how to proceed in your answers, right? Now consequences kya aa rahe hain iske? See, consequences mein people, they always want to have a security. So आप वैसे भी देखोगे ना, a particular sort of people, they live in a particular sort of community, right? slums में सब इकट्ठे रहते हैं, and एक particular शहर के एक particular corner के बाहर ही slums होंगे. So all the people, they live there because there is a sense of security and unity. So because of this displacement, what happens is people, they start moving, and they start to move on the basis of either religion or language or their region. So a lot of displacement starts happening, and this creates fear, psychosis and insecurity in the minds of people, right? Common law crimes are very mixed up with the insurgency related crimes, which gives rise to extrajudicial killings and vigilantism, right? Then there is a huge impact on education. The school going children, they aren't able to receive proper basic education, and this hampers their future prospects of earning and livelihood. The nexus between politicians and insurgents, this has a huge impact on elections. See, the purpose of democracy is to choose the best person there is to govern. But if that is a corrupt practice, this means nothing. Okay, so what should be the way forward? See, बात करने से बात बनती है. So we will have to bring all the representative of all the groups to the table and discuss amongst ourselves what should be done. The problem of corruption has to be addressed, and we will have to see the lack of infrastructure, basic amenities, etc. that is taken care of, right? We do not want our other northeastern states to become a part of LAC fight. as we are battling on the borders of Arunachal Pradesh. Right? Now, this Manipur topic is sort of done with. If you have any doubts, please mention them in comments. Otherwise, we'll move forward to our next topic, that is PM-DevINE scheme. Your PM-DevINE scheme, it was mentioned, it was given in Union Budget 2022-23, right? The implementation agency is Northeastern Ministry of Development of the Northeastern region, Northeastern Council, right? So, what is the objective of the scheme? It is in line with the PM Gati Shakti project, with the whole sole motive is to fund the infrastructure and provide development in the northeastern region, right? Here the important part is, it is not going to be a substitute for existing central or state schemes, right? It is going to be an addition, and central ministries might propose their own projects, but the preference will be given to the state posed projects, correct? Now, this is about PM-DevINE scheme, but and these are the initial projects that will be funded under the scheme. You can go through them. There is nothing to be explained in this. There is this Nectar Livelihood Program, etc., etc. Please go through them once. What are the projects that are to be funded? If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Right? Now, the question that comes majorly in prelims, they ask you stuff like this. So, what is Northeastern Council? The Northeast Council is nodal agency for economic and social development of Northeast region, right? Its chairman is your Home Minister, and your vice chairman is Minister of State independent in charge of donor, right? It's a statutory body and it came into prevalence. It came into existence when an act of parliament was passed in 1971, right? So, in 1971 it came into existence, but there was an amendment in 2002. Amendment in 2002 says whenever Northeastern Councils makes any scheme, it should include benefit of 2 or more than 2 states, right? 2 or more than 2 states from the Northeast region except Sikkim. When it comes to Sikkim, the schemes should be solely focused on Sikkim. So, Sikkim is an exception. So, NEC performs, your Northeastern Council performs tasks that are undertaken by various zonal councils. This I have told you, Amendment Act, what there was, and it has powers that are deemed by central government, right? Now, our third and last topic, right? Manipur Meiteis. Meiteis I have already discussed in point 1. See, Meiteis and Kukis and Nagas, there has been a tussle going on between them, continuous tussle. So, why Meiteis were in news? Meiteis were in news because they have been demanding, sorry about that, Meiteis have been demanding an ST status. ST status means schedule tribe status, right? They have been demanding scheduled tribe status for a couple of years now. Initially in 1935, the Meiteis were entered in Census of India as STs, but in 1991, they were given the status of OBCs, right? Initially, Meiteis controlled from areas up to Chindwin Valley in Myanmar to Surma Valley in Bangladesh, but now they are restricted to around 8% of Manipur's whole geographical area, right? So, they sort of want their demography to stay in the place and prevent intermixing of culture, right? So, what argument they are giving is, since Meiteis, they reside in valley and they are local native people of Manipur, the argument they are giving is, we want ST status not just because we want the perks of reservations, but also we cannot buy land in the hill areas as per Manipur Land Revenue and Land Reforms Act. If they have also argued this, if this Land Reform Act is tweaked, then we might give up the demand for ST status. So it is also about the land grab, right? Now Meiteis are dominant community, 60 may say around 40 seats they have, right? And most of them, they practice Hinduism. A couple of them, they are Panglas and they practice Islam, right? Now let's come to political aspect of it, polity aspect of it. What are the traits and characteristics of communities who are termed as scheduled tribe in the Constitution of India, right? They have to have primitive traits, they have to have geographical isolation, they should have distinctive culture, they have to have shy of contact with community and large, and they have to be economically backward, right? So these are sort of essential characteristics which are required if a community has to be included in scheduled tribe list, right? Now let us discuss some important cases and commissions that are related to scheduled tribes, and you have to know them because direct question is asked in prelims UPSC and you can use them while writing your GS and GS mains answer, right? So there was this Kaka Kalelkar commission. I am just mentioning the names, make it a point you know about them, right? There was Kaka Kalelkar commission, then Lokur committee, there was this Debar community, Debar commission, then Bhuria committee, then there was this case of D. Dayal versus Union of India, then there was this Samantha judgment, and finally there was this Virginius Zaza committee, which has been instrumental in framing policies about the tribals in India, right? So this is all for today. I hope you had a better understanding of the session. If you have any doubts, please mention them in comments. And if you want me to take up a topic or you want me to discuss something, please mention that as well. We will try covering it in our next session. Thank you so much. Keep watching. Stay safe and stay sound. Thank you.